our favorite game, Worst Republican of the Week. But this time is a bit different because we are going to say right here and now that each candidate actually wins the title since they are all so monstrous in their own ways. The worst of the worst this week, Donald Trump, Kari Lake, Alex Jones. And let's break down their offenses. This morning, as I discussed earlier with Mehdi, Donald Trump posted a blatantly anti-Semitic message on his social media platform attacking Jews in the United States, saying they need to, quote, get their act together and appreciate Israel before it is too late. Absolutely abhorrent language. Next up, Arizona's Republican nominee for governor, Kari Lake, who, as we mentioned in our last segment, just refused today to accept the results of her election if she loses.
Will you accept the results of your election in November?
I'm going to win the election, and I will accept that result.
If you lose, will you accept that?
I'm going to win the election, and I will accept that result.
Is that somehow supposed to drive voters out to support her? And then there's our least favorite far-right conspiracy theorist, Alex Jones. This week, Jones was ordered to pay nearly $1 billion to relatives of Sandy Hook school shooting victims for promoting the lie that the massacre was a hoax. And as the judgment came down, what did Alex Jones do? He was broadcasting live, fundraising, not for the victims, for himself. What's worse, he proclaimed to viewers that he would not pay the victims of his harassment. My Sunday night panel is back with me. Sochi, I'll start with you. Your reaction to Trump's anti-Semitic social media post. You have an anti-Semite, an election denier, and Alex Jones, this conspiracy theorist.
I don't know even where to start. First of all, I think that the comments from the former president are extremely insulting. You've had people come out to talk about them. When it comes to Alex Jones, let me just remind you, this is historic, what the jury decided here. But the reality is that he has been tormenting Sandy Hook families, families that lost their children for years. And this was something that was bittersweet for them. You know, they love that there was justice and they appreciated what the jury said. But if you heard from those families, these families just want closure. And he was spreading conspiracy theories for years. And so while I'm grateful for that, grateful for what happened and what the jury decided, at the same time, these families need closure, and my hope is that they can get that soon.
Yeah, certainly so. Michael, you know, my colleague Mehdi was talking to Representative Ilhan Omar, and there was this contrast that occurred to me, which is when Democrats misspeak and sometimes say things that they regret, every single member of the Democratic Party, from the leadership on down, is asked about it. They condemn it. How should Republicans respond to yet more anti-Semitism from Donald Trump? You still have the House GOP Judiciary Committee still with that tweet up saying Trump, Elon, and Kanye, and yet Republicans go about, nobody's asked about it. They don't condemn it. It's business as usual for the Republicans.
Well, you just said it. It's business as usual. This is the new business of the party. The old alliances, the old relationships, the old storylines that have been a part of holding our country and our parties, our political parties together have been severed. And so you have, it's not just dysfunction. It is a level of cynical, anti-democratic view of the country and its citizens. We are all other if we're not with them. And so when I look at the lineup for, you know, the nasty player of the week, yeah, they all three get a tip of the hat. But I see in that listing, I think Kari Lake is probably the more dangerous of the three because she's currently on a ballot to be the governor of one of our 50 states. And will have an enormous amount of power and influence should she win. And what does that mean for the rest of us? And so we are slowly watching ourselves step into this new America with a K. And the reality of it is there are very few Republicans who want to do anything about it. They are fully accepting of it. And so I think the rest of the country, the rest of us are going to have to figure out how we draw these battle lines, because apparently, I guess the ballot box won't be enough. Yeah. And so we're going to have to figure out how we make the case to the American people that this is not the course we should be on.
Christilla, what do you make of Kari Lake's, comments refusing to accept the outcome of her election if she loses? Again, Donald Trump introduced this. He may not be the one who has normalized it, but election denialism from these candidates is now par for the course for a Republican candidate.
Look, Ayman, I can say I'm a unicorn. Doesn't mean it's true, right? I mean, honestly, it's like you can say whatever you want. Trump said that he won the election. Oh, is he president right now? No. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But when you actually try to make any kind of movement, you know what always comes first? The truth. The truth will always come out. It doesn't matter how much you delay it. It doesn't matter what you do. I can say, hey, I'm going to deny that I'm Mexican. Guess what? Still Mexican. Doesn't matter. I mean, you can say and do what you want, but honestly, at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. Whatever the facts are, the facts are. People love to think that facts are just suggestions now. But guess what? Truth always wins at the end of the day. So go ahead. Say that you won't admit that you lost the election. Okay, then what? So then I get to hear your voice for more, for more months. Then the media can choose to not cover you.
Well, the only thing that scares me, and I just was going to say this, Christilla, if you saw the case of Donald Trump, he said what he believed, which is he denied the election results, but then he mobilized a mob to attack our government. And that was one person. If you now have that in 20 or 30 states, and you have candidates like Kari Lake, who's out there saying to her followers, hey, we're going to go to the Arizona State Capitol and we're going to demand and protest and who knows what they want to do, maybe violently say we got the election stolen from us. Aren't you worried about that becoming the normal tipping point, the violence as a result of that rhetoric?
Look, as a Latina, I can say that I'm actually used to seeing a lot of different violence in this country for many different reasons. You know, the violence will happen regardless of what it is. I will say that people having this resurgence, this birth of election deniers and the movement and what have you, look, it'll only last so long. Yes, violence is always a concern. But do you remember years ago how prominent the Tea Party was? And everybody was worried about the Tea Party. And, oh, this is going to happen with the Tea Party. Then what happened? People got elected, and now we don't talk about the Tea Party anymore. Now it's MAGA. You know, and it's that thing where there's always going to be something new. But the thing is that what people don't understand is that we put attention to them because they're loud. The majority of this country does not believe in that. And yes, they can storm the Capitol. They can try to instigate violence. But the reason that the U.S. Capitol, the reason that was under attack on January 6th is because the president of the United States said so. I mean, for real. I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't think that there's any way that will happen, that can happen again. Because I think that on that level, and I know I'm in the minority and maybe saying this, but I believe that once we know that people are capable of doing that, the majority of us that are good people will try to fight and make sure that that doesn't happen. And by fighting, I mean voting, making our voices heard, coming up, showing support. We can't let these people be so loud. We have to be louder. And I think that that's one of the things we have to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really, I just hope that your optimism prevails because you're way more optimistic than me. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, based on Michael Steele's reaction and Soji, I think they're probably with me on this one. But we all share your optimism, and we hope that you are correct in the end.
I hope you are, sister. I really do.
Look, Michael Steele, what are we going to do? We can't be negative, man.
Right.
I mean, honestly, that makes you that ages you too quick. We got to have at least some kind of fighting chance, honestly.
I don't know if we've got much more age left in us, to be honest. But Christilla, Michael Steele, Sochi, thank you all very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. I really enjoyed that.